Hello, lovely beings. Today I'm like so excited. I am starting with this podcast, Human Light Bulbs, and I represent people that I feel like are really inspiring for whole of humanity, and they're really bringing their light into the world. And I want to represent these people all to you. And I always think like, oh, you should also know this person. But I will say a bit more about myself because maybe you didn't hear about myself yet. I'm Janneke Hellebrekers. I come from Holland, and I call myself MissHellbreaker because that's my real surname. And I feel I broke free from what is it? Reality, matrix, society, and I feel like living in paradise. And I want other people to to experience that also, give them an opportunity. And I help people by doing yoga, meditation, and also energetic healings and healing courses. And I give a lot of talks and interviews, and I love talking with like-minded beings. And today we have Nicky Hamid here as a guest, and I know him already for many years. I'm following him mainly on Facebook, and he has always the most inspiring, beautiful, loving messages. So I'm really happy to have you here, Nicky.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you all. Yeah, I'm excited about our sharing.
Very nice, very nice. And maybe you can tell a bit more about yourself, like if like someone who doesn't know it yet, like who are
Yeah,
you?
well, when I taught at university for many years, and the students and the staff gave me the nickname Professor of Happiness. And that's what I love that, seeing it was given to me, that title. But I had a spiritual life, really, right from the age of 5 years old.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and it's been a continuous, and just the kind of person I am, I'm an optimist. I've always been an optimist because we live in a universe of free will. I say God-given free will. You might not think it by the way you feel manipulated by the things outside and around you, but we are. And free will means we have choice. And I love the title of this podcast, light bulb, isn't it? What did you say? Well, yes,
Human light bulb.
human light bulb, because for me, there is always a choice in any given situation that we face in life. There is a choice, and the choice is light on or light off. If you are involved in feeling manipulated and victim to the circumstances out there, the circumstances you grew up with, and the circumstances around you, you have been taught, our brains have been hijacked, and we've been taught to be suspicious, to feel fear, and encouraged to be in that place where I say we're looking towards the dark, that which is anti-us rather than for us. And so the free will choice is to be able to turn around and look towards the light. Or one way I say is look for an open door. For everybody, no matter what their circumstance, there's always an open door, but you're taught to look back and see what's not possible rather than what is possible. So I've been a person who has always, I've had difficulties like everybody else in life, but I've always turned and looked for the open door, and there's always been an open door. And I enthusiastically jump into it. Although sometimes you jump in and you wish you hadn't, because it gives you more in order for us to make more of that choice. And so these times now, with all the things that we're seeing out there, which seem so chaotic and disturbing, it's giving us a choice to choose ourselves and to open the door as a human light bulb. So would you like to know a little bit more about my journey? Yes, you
Yes,
would.
would love to hear. And
No.
that's when you were already awake, like you had already spiritual awakening when you were 5 years old. That is like really early in life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I was born, I'm 82 years young. And I say that not just glibly, because I am going to live for a long time. And this is the possibility for all of us that is very close to being reality. We already know that the life expectancy is getting longer and longer, but this is a huge leap that we're going into. So that's how optimistic I am, even though I had to deal with the things of the past, which tell us about what it's like when you age. I'm 82 years young, but when I was born in London during the war with the bombs falling from the German bombers coming over. So I was born in those times, but I was 5 years old after the war. Our streets had bombed houses through, and I used to have to walk to school. And I was always scared of the buildings that had got bombed because they were blackened and so on. I always run past those. But on my way to school, there was a church. And at 5 years old, after starting my schooling, I walked past the church property, and I looked down the path, and the door was open, and you could see the stained glass window in the back. And as I looked, a figure appeared in a golden light,
Oh,
and
wow.
they stood by the door, and it was Jesus. And he virtually said to me, although at the time I must have known it, but didn't really understand. He said, "I will walk with you. I will walk with you." So from then on through my life, when even as a child I saw, he used to be present when there was a difficult time for me. And I've always feel his presence. And later on, it became other beings, masters, if you like, and light beings who had no name would be beside me. So I would go into life circumstances, and being an optimist and being a child and coming from a family where they encouraged me to be me. I would experience things and get into trouble or go into fear situations, but there would always be a time when I went to bed at night, especially, where the presence would come. And so I had, if you like, mentors who were near. My mother was a mentor too. She had rejected Catholicism and she became a theosophist. Now, theosophy is a comparative study of philosophy, religion, and science. And she was very, very well read. So was my father. So when I was older, teenager, I used to ask her questions because I was dyslexic and I had great difficulty reading or writing right the way through my early life. I was bad. My school reports, they said, Nicholas is dumb.
Oh, wow. And now you have beautiful writing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, you know. But I hadn't read a book through until I was 15 or 16 years old. I couldn't read, I had difficulty, and my writing was terrible. I still can't read my own writing very well. But so in the long term, you know, I became a professor of psychology, and I taught at universities for 40 years. teaching psychology, but I began to change the psychology. I taught human potential courses, self-awareness courses, and psychology East and West, in which I took them through 5 of the major religions, and the students, for each, their task was to look through the eyes, if they had that religion and philosophy, how would they see the world? So they came out with 5 perspectives of seeing the world. And that was the way I looked at religion, because religion to me comes from the Greek word, comes from the Latin word religere, which means to bind. So religion, spirituality, we would say now, is the way you connect to the one, however you conceive the one. And so religion was the word speaking of that. It was religere, to bind, how you bind yourself to the universe. It's exactly the same for yoga. Yoga means union. And when Jesus said, my yoke is easy, my burden is light, he was saying, my yoga is easy, my burden is light. And the ultimate yoga posture is walking tall. That's the ultimate asana, to walk tall. So it all connects, but that's been overlain by religious groups which want to trap the people into a set of beliefs. And it is culture, it is all these cultures in the world which have divided us all. Because you grow up and you have these filters that you learn from the parents and your school and your society to look at who you are, but also what other peoples are not. And yet, get 2 people together, any 2 people in the world, talking about the things that are important to them, and they all want food on their table with no insecurity. They all want the best for their children. They all want peace and harmony, every single one. And it's culture that interferes, so that, well, I think it was Cryon who said, he gave the example of Israeli and Palestine. Most Israelis have no real contact with Palestinians. And so they have the glasses that sees them in a certain way. But when they meet and they know a person, the same with the Palestinians, they have their view of Israelis. But when it comes down to person, we all want the same things. There's no division. We want peace and harmony and love and abundance. And so culture has been the overlay which gets in our way. You're Dutch, are you?
Yeah.
I'm English with a strong New Zealand underlay, as it were, because I grew up as a boy from 9 years old in New Zealand, the New Zealand culture. We have Maori and the white, a Pākehā we call it. And there's some division, not as much as in other places, but there is some division. And they're trying to maintain this division by
that's why there's so much suffering.
helping the Maoris, especially, who are economically underprivileged. And so there's difference. For example, one of the things that happened when the government started to take real notice of these differences was they found that children in rural communities didn't have the educational opportunities that the children in the towns did. So, and they found that there was a disproportionate number of Maoris who didn't. But instead of saying we'll have a fund and a foundation that supports those children a little bit more who are rural, they made it a Maori education foundation. And immediately it separates. I'm just using this example. This is the way it happens. So culture is our main stumbling block. That you're Dutch, I'm English, but we have the same things that we desire.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk through the mall and I love talking to people, and I can talk about the weather because we have that in common. And in that sharing, their light bulb goes on because I love them. I don't have to say anything, but I'm speaking because I see who they really are. That's how I look. And they respond, the soul of them responds to that. And so we meet with two light bulbs going on, and we're both blessed by that meeting, even though it's short. And this, I mean, when I went to India, the same thing, meet people, and you meet them as soul beings of the truth of who they are, and they will respond. In America, in China, wherever I've been. And this is what you find when you travel, that people are basically good. They're doing the best they can. And so I wrote my book, Humanity is Rising, and the second book, Beautiful Human, because that's who we are. We all are. And all it needs is encouragement. All our unity is not in our difference, but in our acceptance of where people are coming from, knowing that we're all headed and want to head in the same direction. And that's to heart and to unity and to openness and to connectedness. Because the whole universe is connected. Even that little atom, the scientists do something to an electron, and an electron that once had connection with it can be right across the universe, and it immediately reacts in the same way as this electron does. We're entangled. Everything is entangled. Thus we say it's all one. So in choosing light on, the light bulb on, we come back to this unity of oneness. And that's how humanity is changing. The light is on. It's just a matter of people turning around because it's here. And that's a shift everyone's talking about. That's a shift. And so some of us have been doing our own inner work, as it were, because we realized that what was going on was nonsense. And we had to follow the light, the golden nuggets from the heart. And this is where everyone is going, regardless of the chaos. Why the chaos? Because it's leaving. It can't sustain. There's not the energy anymore because there's too much love in the world. There's too much love in the heart. The light is already one.
Yes,
it's just humans are slow on the uptake.
And that is a really beautiful perspective to really know that. We live from a place where you know that the light has already won, and that it is like a lot of people like psychic and mediums say in the astral planes the light already won. It just cycles in the physical plane, and it's like it's a ball that's already rolling, and we will see it all at one point. But it's like we're now like popcorns, like popping up that this
Yeah.
person and this person and
Yeah.
lighting each other up.
Well, the scientists talk about, I wear this. I don't know whether you can see it.
Yes, I see it a bit.
Yeah, that's the tube Taurus. That's the
Mm.
toral field. Now, everything exists in a field, electromagnetic field that's Taurus in nature. It's like a donut that's folding in itself, but it's also folding in itself this way. So it's two ways. There's a spiral up and a spiral down, and those are
Okay.
they're actually existing in the same space. It's pretty hard. So it means, yeah, there is this bringing the light in, but there's also bringing the light out. And the point of light, where each we say is the still point, is in your heart, in the middle of your body, almost. Not quite, but yeah, but you have this field around you and everyone connects. So when I go into a shop, there's some shops like one of our chain stores where I can't stay long in the shop because I don't feel very good in there. Why? Because there's all these auric fields coming in there and people are disturbed and fear and all sorts of things. So there's this overlap of fields and you pick it up. You pick it up. All of us are sensible. Every single person. You don't have to be psychic. Well, or we say everyone can be psychic, but you feel it. But if we've got so much fear, it overlays the feeling of your knowing, yeah, this doesn't feel right. I've got to move out of here, or I've got to hold my place, my knowing. And that's the practice. No matter
Yeah.
what you believe, that's the
People get
practice.
more sensitive of it. Like they
Yeah, yeah,
have to make they feel depleted, or like when they went to the mall or something, they feel, and they were like, oh, this is, I need to be more aware of that. So at one point before, they didn't see that some things or some people or some places, like their energy shifted. And I think more and more people getting aware of that, and then they can
yeah,
also make better choices again.
yes. And you see so many people have come here and are making the choice of choosing the light, that it's what's happened is all the negativity, all the karma, if you like, the negative karma, although that's a misnomer too, has risen. It's all coming to the surface. So there's no more secrets, no more lies. And for a lie to be lies and negativity to be mastered, you have to be able to recognize it. Now it's coming to such a degree that you've got to really bury yourself deep, not to see it. But what do you do about it? Nothing, except go within. Because if you hold the light, then it's going to start bouncing off. And we each create our own reality, our own hologram, if you like. My toral field is where I create and I attract or repel. And if I've got lots of mind filters that have been taught to me, I'm dealing with stuff which is not mine.
Everybody.
I've made it mine by the filters. So if people are looking for how do I shift, you change your beliefs. One by one, if you have to, one by one. You say, okay, I have this belief. Is it working for me? Is it working for me? Does it bring me to these things I really, really want? Peace and harmony, abundance, good health, whatever. Do I hold beliefs And it doesn't matter whether they have been given to you. The fact that you recognize that they've been given to you, you've taken them on, you can just as easily throw them away because they're not yours.
Mm.
And that's the trick. So this is where those who switch their light on come in. We're here to remind you who you are, beautiful human. We're here to remind you. Because when you feel something, when you feel, well, that person's got something, it might be a bit freaky and a bit scary, but I want some of that. Then you know that's coming from within you. It's not just them, it's you. They've triggered something in you because you can't feel what you don't know. So it must be coming. So love yourself. Love yourself first, last, and always. And it comes from here in the feeling, not from here. So we're learning to put the logic aside. We're learning to move from here to here. Now, the spiritual thing is you're also a soul being with aeons. Every single person on this planet, whether you're awake or only just woken up or whatever, every single one of us is a soul being with aeons and aeons and aeons and aeons of experience. And we have projected part of our consciousness into a physical body with emotions and thoughts. We have projected that being. And now, as the light comes on in the world, that being is able to come in. So the soul part, another part, level of the soul being is coming into embodiment. And that's who a master is. The masters have been our souls who have embodied that greater knowing of the self. And even that is just a reflection because we're much, 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 much more. We heard the call. The forerunners heard the call. And the call was humanity's been hijacked for a long, long time. And now it's time. They need more light. Come in. So willingly, thousands and thousands agreed to come. And they thought it was going to be a breeze because they knew God, they knew their connection.
Whew.
And they didn't realize that you had to forget because they thought, I can't forget something I always knew. And they forgot. And the thing was, you had to do the human journey. And you had to come up against shadow and the dark side, if you like. And you have to take it on. And then you have to free yourself. And that's what we're all doing, freeing ourselves from having our minds and our emotions and our bodies hijacked.
But we are freeing ourselves one by one. And
One
then
by
more
one. Yeah.
people. And it's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
happening. It's like really
Day by
happening.
day, day by day, day by
Yes.
day.
Yes,
Yeah.
more and more.
So there's a plan. There's a huge, I'll call it the divine plan. Nobody knows it, not even the masters, because we have free will and we decide. We decide how much is going to hurt us clearing up the debris within ourselves, or how much joy it's going to bring because we will feel more and more of ourselves. So we make it hard or easy for ourselves. How willing are you to change the belief of suspicion and unsafety, being yourself, to that being of freedom and light, which looks around, and even if you get drawn into a choice of fear, you say, hey, stop a minute. How does love see it? Take my breath. How does love see this? How would love see it? Even if I don't know how it feels. How would love see it? Unless you could go to the master and say, what would he or she do? And you'll know. And then it is step by step by step, making your move. Because as soon as you question and make that choice, how would love see it? You've turned to the light. Your light bulb's on. Even if it's only for a moment. And from moment to moment to moment, it becomes more and more and more. So people talk about ascension and the shift. Ascension is not going out there, but it's coming in here. Heaven and earth coming together within me, so that I am closer to the truth of who I am, but in embodiment, with boots on the ground.
That's a nice saying.
Because we're on this beloved earth that knows perfectly, it's perfectly capable of swatting the fleas off its surface if it wishes. But Mother Earth loves us. It's perfectly capable of providing all the food and more for everybody. And the right amount of water instead of all this rain. The right amount of water.
Oh, the natural clean water. Yeah, it's like that's like basics that everybody should have. No, like enough food,
Absolutely.
enough water, enough like a house. That's like, because that's why people keep in survival mode.
Well,
So
yeah, and our body is 80% water, at least 80% water. So there's our answer. Look to this water. Look to the water. Look to your own cells, and how clean and clear can you make it? And it's difficult at the moment because of all the poisons, but we can still do it because our body has an intelligence. It can deal with anything, but it needs the love from us. It needs a soul being coming in and saying, okay, you know that you're my body intelligence, and you know what's best for you when you no longer have these thoughts that I'm being projecting at you about your helplessness. I love you. Show me, body, what's the next thing for me? Not all these things that you want to go on the diet. And there's just so many millions of different ways of what's an appropriate diet. The appropriate diet is what's good for you, and your body will know for this moment. And for this moment, it might suggest a certain thing. But next week, it might say, no, you've had enough of that.
Yeah, it's for everybody different. It's like, what a journey.
It's different. Yeah, it's different. And all this fear about, I mean, I've seen people sitting down to a plate of greens and all fresh vegetables, uncooked and so on, and eating, but their faces like it's hard work. Sit down to a tin of baked beans on toast that you enjoy, and it's doing far better for you. Because your body, if you allow your body to take what it needs and dispel what it doesn't need, it will do it. Our bodies are amazing, but we just got in the way of it, So this is, as soul being coming in, you begin to trust yourself, trust your body and follow it and give it permission and love it, even when it makes a mistake and your body's feeling toxic and you have to purge a little. It's a relationship, building a relationship.
But also making like there's no mistake. So once you make, like, you eat something that is not good for you, your body will tell you.
It may be not good for you now, but it may be all right for you then a week later. So it's not being closed, it's looking for the open door. It's always an open door. And so that's, if you like, a more grounded side, the physical body, but then there's the relationship You're a soul being with vast experience, and you're not alone. You've never been alone. We all have an entourage of beings who are, since birth, the baby's born, you look at a baby and that comes from God. You know, regardless, even if it became a murderer later on in life, it's first from God. It is a being from God, and you look at the baby, and they're totally innocent. And there is love here. A love that catches you here. And that love follows us wherever we go. And it follows as a group of beings who are your soul family. They include people you've loved who passed on. It includes people you've known over incarnation and incarnation. It includes angels, masters, Elohim, beings that go up and up and up, way beyond, because it's all light. It's light at various frequencies, further and further on. But wherever we walk, we have this team. But who looks towards their team? Who brings that team into their life? We might do channeling or special times where we contact, but why not make them a part of your everyday life? So I go into the shop and I feel this frequency that I don't like, and I go out and I feel, well, something's jumped in my field. I don't know what it is. I can't see where it is, but I can feel it. Hey guys, these guys, as I would, if I were passed over, I would see my auric field. My soul, our team, see it. I say, I feel this. As soon as I say this, they see where the shadow is, where the malware is beeping away. Can you go in and take it out? And they will go in and take it straight out. Does anybody clean their shadow, clean out their shadow daily? No. Because we feel we've got this funny idea in spiritual community that you have to do the work. But there are things you can't know and can't see, and you don't have to. You've got a team. Why not build a relationship with them also? Some people, star beings, aware star beings who are masters are also in your team. And we can bring them in closer. All we need to do is ask, because it's sacred. Our own free will is sacred, and none of them would come in without being asked.
Yeah, so
Or
people really
without
can
the open door.
ask more, like really like ask for help, and then they are there.
Yeah, but it's not just help. It's sharing your life. Why not share your joys? Hey guys, I feel so happy swimming in the sea, in this. It's so beautiful when you're actually feeling it, and they see the light that you're referring to when you do an experience, and they can bring you more of that experience. Have you ever thought of that? Most people, it is when I need help. It's a relationship, a daily relationship with the expanded is part of it also, without any of the woo stuff. That are rituals, mostly, it's rituals. I'm not putting anyone down. I mean, it's all part of the expression, but it's the simplicity of relationship to everything. I relate to nature. I love gardening, and I love to nature. And I see the fairies. And I have a fairy friend who comes sit on my shoulder. I call her the littlest fairy. And she'll even talk about quantum physics. Because that is another level of reality. And as we come in more, as we open up more, we see more and more possibilities of life around us and within us and above us, because it's all within, really. So the energies are coming from there, but also they're coming from the ground up through. So it's not just a breathe in here or a breathe up here, but it's a breathe up and down at the same time into the heart. Both ways, simultaneously. A lot of the Indian teachings and the breath teachings and the yoga teachings are breath, and it's one way.
Yeah, you go up and down.
Babaji came to me when I was in India. No, the immortal Babaji,
Heard of it.
when I was in the Himalayas, and he taught me a breath, and I can tell you now, it was the double breath. It was the breathing like this simultaneously, not up and down, just up and down. It was together, coming in together and breathing out together. It's a figure of 8, but it says 1 because you take the figure of 8 and pull it over, it's a circle. You've got the ankh. The ankh is 1. It's just one of the breaths. And you can do it one of 2 ways. You go out through the ankh and up, or come in through the ankh and go down. And the cross is the grounding of it. But the double breath is something more. It's both. So it would just be a figure of 8, but as a circle. Because the Taurus field is your electromagnetic field is the 2 currents, one coming down, round and round and down into the through the black hole, if you like, but you have the reverse, the white hole, coming up here to that point of 0 point. We'll call it 0 point. And it's going in both directions all the time. And so the breath is both ways simultaneously. It takes a little while to practice that kind of breath, but try it. It'll bring you straight to heart, brings you straight to heart, and yet to expansion. That's advanced, if you like, but now there's no more secrets.
No, I feel also we all go to a place where everything is in the open. We're total transparent, total honesty, total transparency. And that's why also people see now through all the lies and the programming, people see through. It's like it needs our participation and needs our belief in it for it to be real. So the more and more people check out, it's just like crumbles. And that's like, I feel more and more that happening, but it's like we're just going to be very open, like we just said, no more secrets, just total transparency and openness.
So we started with my journey. So my journey has always been that. There was a period in my life many years ago where I was teaching, and I had a circle. I was teaching and sitting there in my robe, and had followers coming, and that was for about 3 years. And I wanted to focus on service to others. So we had a orphanage place ready to set up in India, so that they wanted to go to India, but the idea was to give them a place where they could go and serve and be in India. People would be coming and listening to me and sitting on my every word and going away and whatever they did. When it came to, we have this place, if we set it up, do you want to go? And they were full of enthusiasm. They didn't want to make the commitment. And that taught me that they were sitting to come and bathe in what I was creating, but not do anything.
Mm.
I was also getting caught up in the idea of this teacher being a guru.
Mm.
And I could feel the draw of being a guru. And I couldn't, I wasn't allowed to take it. My being wouldn't allow me to take that. So I disbanded the lot. So that was a beautiful lesson for me. It was a tough one for others too, because I gave them no reason. I said, well, this is finished. So that's part of my journey. I had a Kundalini journey where my Kundalini went up, I went out, and it took me 6 months to get back. And I was teaching at university at the same time with no mind. You imagine, I mean, just as an example, in order to hold my mind in one place, to be able to think of one thing, I used to do the crosswords, because I'd have to focus on the word and then the answer, right? With crossword. I had so much difficulty because I'd get the clue and I'd go to answer it and I'd forget the clue by the time I came to answer it. It was that quick. And I had to train my mind, but I had this and live in the world with my family and children with no mind. It was difficult, along with the constant cold showers to bring the heat down.
Oh wow.
I had my Kundalini experience, and no one around apart from my guides, as it were, my family from home. But you know, we get through it. I got through it, and I learned so much. I had to write down everything that the ego would say about anything, and it wasn't very nice. My ego had all kinds of intentions, and I saw what we've all experienced, went through, going into battle, for example. In other lives, we've all been into battle, and to be into battle and survive, you have to hate. You have to hate with all your might, because if you can't slash and hew and hack other bodies, you're dead. And then you go into town and you rape and pillage. And that is part of what my experience has been. I've also been in incarnations, and we all have, where it's been more spiritual incarnation, where you have been trained and you have a strong idea of your truth and your love. And you've had to go out and speak truth. And you've been tortured and killed in terrible, horrible ways. That is an experience all of us will have had in some way or other. So we have those wounds. And when we're in doubt, when shadow comes in, that the shadow knows exactly where to go to play with your wounds. And so you can feel, I'm doubting this, but this is my truth. It goes against this, but I'm feeling this self-doubt. You can guarantee it's not yours. You've done the clearing work. Shadow has come in because we're in a collective.
And that is, a lot of people feel as if it's from them.
Yeah, all people do. All people do. And they hadn't cleared. Yes, you've cleared, but it's come back. And it's hiding sneakily. That's where we call on our team, because they can do it quick. So this is a new learning. The spiritual community has difficulty recognizing shadow and the dark side.
Yeah,
but
it's, you have people that only want love and light, but you also need to integrate all aspects and all.
this is what we're on boots on the ground, and we're seeing the dark, the shadow come up. And we should be rejoicing in that, because there we are, we see it for what it is. But when learning not to be drawn into it or resist it in terms of saying, pretending it doesn't exist, or I'm not going to go there and see it, but hands on heart, as a lion heart, as Braveheart, if you like, in the movie, as Braveheart, whether you're a man or woman, brave heart. And it is not on my watch. No longer will I allow the horror of child trafficking and its abuse. I know it's there. I have actually been in the dumps. Not physically, but in spirit, a number of years ago, and I wouldn't want to share. But I know. And this has been happening for thousands of years, okay? It's time to end. And to end, we have to accept that it is playing out now. And bless those soldiers who are going in and being wounded. You have a look. Oh, I saw Mel Gibson.
And that came out, what is it today? It came out today, the movie.
Well, yeah, and I've seen, have you seen him on TV mentioning it? And his face looks staring. His face looks, the pain on his face. He has seen these things and he's standing up for them. What courage. But how it has affected them. And every soldier who's gone in to rescue, or every person who's gone in to rescue, they cannot forget what they have seen. So they need a lot of healing, so much healing, and so much honor for their bravery of doing this at last. And so in my second book in the new series, the series is Ascension Reminder series. The first book was Humanity Rising, and the second one is Beautiful Human. But it's about acknowledging who we are. And in the Beautiful Human, the subheading is a lion's heart with an angel's touch. That's who we are. That's who we are. We say in all truth, not on my watch.
Not here anymore. Not
right here. Not in my field. Not in my presence.
Yes.
Absolutely, and we stand. But we touch because we see the soul being in front of us. We see through. So I don't like what you do. Not that we say this, but I don't like what you do, but I love you. That's the trick. That's compassion. So you're no longer taken in by your emotional empathy, which wants to be kind all the time. Sometimes, often, we have to say within ourselves, you ask the truth of a choice and it will say no. And we are loath to go by the no when we have to learn to be the soldier and the maiden together, side by side. And the soldier follows. The warrior follows the maiden. In the old days, say in the Essenes, the great secret group in Jesus's time, they would meet and the men would stand out front in the circle and they would hold and establish the ground. Then they'd step back and the women would come forward and they'd do all the creativity, if you like, all the work. But the ground was prepared. to be totally safe. As two expressions of the one, because when I see spirit beings and I see where they stand in the great circle, every one of them is male and female, if you like. Every one of them. They express, they're neither really. It's total melding. But when they come as an expression, usually because you feel by the presence whether there's more feminine or masculine, because they're playing it for us. They're playing that vibration for us to help us balance. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I'm saying again, bring them in, bring your team in closer. Every single one of us has a team. And they're waiting. They're not bored because they've got plenty to do, but they wait. They wait for our invitation, and there must be a daily invitation because you have free will. That is sacrosanct. You must choose. Stand for something, otherwise you'll fall for anything.
Yes, very, very good. And we also needed to experience the darkness and the density, like to go, like to choose, like this is not what I want anymore. I choose light, and that's why it also was all necessary. And this whole play was
you could say we need to, but you could also say we know from experience, from the ounce and ounce of experience. So it's just a remembering. It's just a remembering. It's remembering. I mean, years ago when I was teaching my human potential course with the students, I was teaching them ways of suspending judgment, but also the recognition. Somebody says something to you and you have the feeling, immediate feeling, well, that doesn't sit right with me. It's a flash. You get it. But usually you override it with thoughts. All right, or whatever we're talking about, or no, I mustn't think badly about them, or even it's not a thought. It's like you get that, but you ignore it. That's ignorance, ignoring the truth. So everybody has that intuitive truth. So it's bringing that back and now learning to respond to it. Until there's no question, I can't argue with myself because I write things, posting, and people sometimes tell me that they resisted it. You know, it's not right, or they got angry by what I said. But then they come back to it and they say, hey, that's me, not what he's written, and look at it in a different way. And then they see an open door because we have resistance, this old habits of this holding back to the familiar. The devil I know is better than the God I don't.
Yes.
And so we hold on to our old beliefs. We hold on to our tools when they're no longer useful. They've taken us to a place and we keep doing them as a ritual. But they're not taking us anywhere anymore. Or the reverse. You can hear, like I've said, given them a tool, and the person said, oh, I've done that. I did that years ago. Have you done it? Because now, years ago, now you've changed. If you did it now, would it be the same or different? It's very likely to be different. There's a new level. So we come at things afresh. And to come at things afresh, we have to drop our beliefs and our habits. An experiment, just like a child. Why do we do that? Because it was there to do. And I found out. And so as you were pointing to before, there's no such thing as failure. There's only learning. So listening to the heart, putting your hand up here and saying, having a choice and saying, do I or don't I? Do I do that or not? And immediately you get a feeling, yes or no. Now, are you going to go on it, or are you going to follow your old patterns and beliefs? It's all up to you, and there's no judgment except the judgment we place on ourselves. But we've got that instinctive gut as well as heart knowing. And for your body, it's more gut. Your gut will tell you. Instead of this, logic is just a way of helping us see from a linear perspective. But when you go within, you've got to drop the logic, because the logic can't go where you're going. When I started learning meditation and, the monkey mind, I used to talk to my mind and say, I'm going to a place where you cannot come. But when I come back, I'll share with you. My mind settled. Gradually, it settled much more. Because ego mind, is there to protect you. And so it's always trying to do that. So I get it to sit in the playroom and play while I'm doing my thing. And sometimes I share with it. I mean, otherwise I couldn't communicate with you or anyone else. It's the mind, but the mind is a servant, a willing servant, because I love it. I'm not trying to get rid of ego, because it's necessary. Otherwise I would not have a feeling of individuality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're doing with boots on the ground, being an individual, at one with all.
Yeah, and that's so beautiful, because it's also like a paradox. Like you're a part of everybody, but you're also very much an individual, and that's where going more and more. Like everybody's more authentically themselves.
Yeah, we can say God. We were created through the God spark in order for the consciousness to expand. And that consciousness, which we are, is an expansion, an eternal expansion of new experiences and combinations of that. And so none of us are the same, and yet we're all one. Yeah, the paradox. I always think when I see paradox, I'm near truth.
Yeah, and that is also so, like when you're open-minded, it can all be there. Like different perspectives can all be there, and everybody can have different perspectives, and they can, like, you can see that from their side that it's their truth, and from other people it's their truth. So it's really interesting to see that. Yeah.
I used to do an exercise in my workshops. It was taken from the Zen teachings. No, sorry, not Zen. Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna, you've heard of Nagarjuna, who the great yogi scholar. And it was, I constructed it thus, and I've done it with children also. 4 pillows in 4 places, with a pillow in the middle also. Now, somebody's got a problem, and so they go and sit in one of the pillows in the south side, and they sit in the pillow on the pillow, and they explain what their problem is, and everybody's gathered round, and they're only allowed to speak in terms of helping, taking the position that the person sitting on the pillow is, and adding to it, other reasons for perhaps they feel like they might feel like they have. So the person is experiencing this problem that they're having and all the ins and outs of it. Then I get them to sit in the opposite pillow, the north, and they now have to say what's good about that. What's the other side of that, and speak it. And the others in the group feed into that. Now they sit on the west side, and they had to go through and share what's both right and wrong about it. And then on the other side, what's neither right nor wrong about it. Then they sit in the middle and they just become aware of all the things they've been through. Then I asked them, where's your papa? It's gone, gone, gone. Because there's two sides to everything.
Mm.
And the truth is beyond that, the sides. And it's simple. It's so simple. But it's difficult when you're doing it on your own, but you can do it. So the paradox is when there's two sides. And they're both plausible. They both make sense, but neither of them is total sense. And the only place where you get total sense is in the peace and the nothingness and the oneness at the same time. That is why we meditate. We meditate to go to the place beyond mind, beyond thought, beyond feeling, which is feeling, which is depth of feeling, which is unity, which is love, which is the peace that passes all understanding. And that's the point of meditation, to be in that place. And then you come out. Soul being coming out again. Because soul being is in that place. Coming out. And learning to express this as boots on the ground.
Yeah, embody it here on this physicality and this earth. And that's why we're here. Huh? That's why I'm here to enjoy it. But I feel sometimes I forget like to really like
Yeah, you see some people come out of a retreat and it looks like they've gone to a funeral. Instead of joy in their step, a bounce in their step. Yes, joy. Because what did Jesus say? Except ye be as little children, you cannot enter into the kingdom of heaven. Meaning that we have to pretend. Children like to pretend. I'm in the sandpit playing with a friend and I want an aeroplane to play with. So I'll pick up a piece of wood and that becomes an aeroplane for an hour. And I have the joy of playing that. It's not a block of wood, it's something totally different. Pretend, imagination, curiosity, the excitement of what's coming next. That is who we are. That's who we are to be, to come back to our innocence of being with a heart of a lion.
Oh, that's really, really beautiful. And I would like to wrap it up with this, because this is really, really beautiful to end it with. So really like that heart and that like, well, it's like a brave heart, but also to see everything as like as a child, and it's like we're in a playground, and it's like, and also accepting whatever, like being excited of whatever is coming, like because we don't know, like you said, like we all don't know what's happening, but deep inside we know it will get only better. So so it's like really exciting, like unknown territories where we're going to, but it's really exciting. So I'm like, I look forward to whatever we will create.
As children, we love surprises.
Mm-hmm.
We'd love to know, like my brother and I used to sit excitedly on our bed the night before Christmas and couldn't go to sleep because we're so excited. We didn't know what we were going to get, but it was that. And it's like, we don't know what's coming, but I tell you it's close. And I tell you that it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. And I know I don't tell you that. But yeah, absolutely. And we are so close. We are so close. So open the door, folks. Open the door.
Yes. Oh, thank you very much. I will put your website and your Facebook underneath here, so so people can find you. And I just like I would advise everybody to find you, because your books are amazing, and all your posts are really, really beautiful and inspiring, and with so much love. And you're like already inspiring me for so many years. So I would send people to advise to come and watch. So thank you very, very much, Nicky.
You're welcome.
Nicky, everybody.
Yeah, God bless you, and thank you.
You too. Bye bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Bye.
Put the record off.